Hi guys, welcome back. We're here for another game of Grixis Delver, and today we're fighting against SS Nelsa 1. Here we are still playing our Grixis Delver deck, and it turns out we're playing again against Jund. So, a little bit more Jund action going on. Be a little bit fun to see how it goes. So we're going to keep the perfect 7. We got 2 lands, both colors, Serum Visions, Delver Secrets. When I see this opening Bloodstained Mire, I instantly just start thinking of what deck is it? It's Burn. So I'm a little bit hesitant about Shocking and Fetch, but I decide if I'm going to be playing Burn, I have a horrible game 1, might as well go for it. So I Fetch, Shock, Delver Secrets, pass, which ends up being a really good play because our opponent is in fact Jund. And we find out when he fetches for an Overgrown Tomb right here. So having the access now to Spell Pierce after our last video, adding that in place of a Remand, it seems pretty good. So now it can be able to hit cards like Lily on the Veil and Kolaghan's Command. Our opponent resolves a Dark Confidant, which, just like the last time, perfectly fine with that. We get to kill it pretty easily, and as we do have 2 bolts in hand, Delver Secrets again doesn't seem to want to be flipping for us today. So we go in there, offer the trade first, see if he wants to do it. Doesn't. We instead go for Watery Grave, Shock, and bolt off Dark Confidant, holding up Spell Pierce to counter a Liliana the Veil, or a Kolaghan's Command, depending on what our opponent would play. Unfortunately for us, our opponent had both of those cards, so we can have a huge tempo swing here if he decided to cast Liliana the Veil or Kolaghan's Command. I'm still finding the deck to be a lot of fun, especially against these Jund matchups. It's definitely my favorite matchup in the format right now, just because of how interactive it is. There's a lot of thinking going on. What do you have to do to win this game? How do you lose it? And as you see right here, our opponent goes for a Liliana the Veil and Spell Pierce, the perfect card, just added to the deck. Loved it. Going again, try to flip Delver. Let's see if he does it. No, he doesn't. Delver does not want to be our friend today. So we go in there, attack again with Delver, get him 1 point of damage. We will get there sooner or later. Cast Serum Visions, look at the top 2 cards, both of which are lands. So we decided to bottom with a Scalding Tarn and Steam Vents and a Sulphur Falls, and hopes then we can be able to get an instant or sorcery next turn. While we can also hold up Murderous Cut for possible creatures that our opponent can play. Our opponent decides to cast a Tarmogoyf this turn, hoping to evade a Spell Pierce with a Kolaghan's Command or something. We let it resolve because we have Murderous Cut in our hand, and we could definitely use that card to trade with the Goyf instead of using Mana Leak instead, which would be better against the harder cards to kill, like Liliana. So our opponent just plays the Blood Crypt in their hand, tapped, and they will pass turn. Yeah, so far against Jund, I have not been had a matchup so bad where I feel like I did everything I could and I still lost. It's definitely a fair matchup. I believe whoever's a better player will win, but sometimes with good draws like that, you could win. So here we go to the upkeep. Take a look at that top card, and nope, we miss it again. It is a Snapcaster Mage, which is good because now we can snap Spell Pierce, which is another great addition to the deck too. I'm loving the combination of Snapcaster Mage and Spell Pierce. Our opponent has to decide now whether or not he wants to terminate our Delver now, or Kolaghan's Command now, or just wait. He decides to go for the waiting plan. We now try to flip Delver, check and see the top card, and we see that it is going to flip with Serum Visions. So now the beatdowns will finally continue. So now the clock goes a lot faster. Now we have the 5-turn clock going on, thanks to Delver Secrets becoming Insectile Apparition. Go into the attack step. He takes the 3 damage. We just decide, let him take we'll just keep going until he has to have an answer. Fortunately for us, he decides to play Command Now, trying to reanimate his Tarmogoyf and killing our Delver. So we respond instead with Snapcaster Mage, hitting Spell Pierce. Our own little 2-for-1. So now that we're tapped out, our opponent can be able to do whatever he wants pretty much. But fortunately he bricks again, only with 2 lands. So he continues to play. Personally I would have terminated the Delver right there just because the Delver player is tapped out. But, well, I guess it still works right here either way. Because with Mana Leak, he's still protected by it overall. So I decided just let the Delver die, get in for 2 points of damage, and replay our second Delver. I decided to hold up Watery Grave and Steam Vents as well, just in case, for something like that, like a Scavenging Ooze. So now our opponent will play it. We can be able to cast Mana Leak and force him to either let it counter or tap out. We do this just because so then if he has to have an untapped green source in order to make sure Scooze grows, but even if he does have that untapped green source, it still dies the bolt. Although we are 1-for-2ing ourselves here, it is still stronger to do that just because we can make sure our opponent is behind on board still, and we also get to remove a creature, make sure his hand is empty, and keep going. We play Young Pyromancer now, just so that we can get more value out of our cards. So that way, now we can bolt off the Scooze, get an Elemental, and then Serum Visions, get another Elemental, and keep bashing in. Opponent's going to take 3, go down to 7. We're going to Serum Visions here, see an Electrolyze and a Tassiger on top after we draw the Delver Secrets. So we just leave the Electrolyze on top, hopefully just so that we can finish him off next turn. Opponent draws a card, sees an Abrupt Decay, and concedes the match. Overall, matchup pretty similar. The only difference is for sideboarding now is that I only side out 1 Remand, 4 Delvers, and 1 Electrolyze to bring in 1 Blood Moon, 3 Death Shadow, 1 Engineered Explosives, and 1 Slaughter Pact. I think it might actually be correct now to not even bring Slaughter Pact into the matchup, but the ability to have Slaughter Pact for 0 mana to kill any creature Joan may have is too valuable in my opinion. So maybe 1 to 2 Blood Moons can come in depending on the situation. If you know your opponent's list, you may not want to bring in Engineer Explosives, although it could still be strong. Well, we'll see you guys back with game 2. Alright guys, see you next time.